Hello and welcome to the Year 11 Information Supporting Your Child, what was an evening for the GCSEs last Thursday. And this is a message for parents who were unable to make it in that evening. And I hope you actually enjoy the information that you're going to receive. This presentation is going to hopefully help you as a parent take your child through the GCSEs and support them through this Year 11 of their GCSEs. About revision, about how to work, about good work ethic, and you'll hear just after me from Mr. David Harding, who is the Raising Achievement Leader for Maths, followed by Mrs. Rachel Clark, Raising Achievement Leader in English, and finally Mr. Nick Tuck, who is the Raising Achievement Leader in Science, and they'll talk about their respective subject areas. On the evening, I said that this screencastify was going to be on the school website next week, and it is. This is now next week. And you will also have a copy of the Year 11 revision guide, which will take you through loads and loads of possible revision techniques and websites, etc., in every single subject that your child may be taking for GCSEs. Well, it's quite new now, I suppose, but the grading structure for GCSEs has changed over the past 2 or 3 years. We are now having numbers instead of the old format of letters. And as you can see on the screen, the new GCSE grading structure, a grade 9, that's usually around 2 to 4% of students in the whole country will get a grade 9 in whatever subject. And you can see that the A star, the old A star, goes down into halfway through grade 8. A grade 7 is the equivalent of the old grade A. And there's what used to be the almost the holy grail of getting your C to make sure that you could progress onto college, post-16 education, A-levels, etc. That's been split into 2 areas, what's called a standard pass of grade 4 and a good pass of grade 5. And you can see the equivalents to the old GCSE grading structure. If your child is doing a vocational subject at GCSE level or year 10, year 11, then you can actually see how a distinction star in level 1, level 2, etc. Maps in to the new GCSE grading structure. Engagement and achievement. This is not rocket science, as was mentioned on the evening, and these things are borne out by past years and years' experience. If your child is not in school, then it is highly unlikely that they are actually going to be learning what was set in those lessons, which is obviously not rocket science at all. But some data do give that information. For example, in 2019, which was really the last proper GCSEs that the children sat, you can see that if a child, and there were 28 students who had an attendance of below 90%, and their progress 8 figure, their progress towards their targets, they gained less than a grade below what they should have been doing in every single one of their subjects. So not great. 62 students had an attendance between 90 and 95%, and their progress was bang on. If their target grade was a C, on average, they got a C, etc., or a 4 or a 5. But the 172 students who had an attendance of 95% and above, you can see that their progress was almost a third of a grade better in every single one of their subjects. So there is a clear correlation between being in school, engaging in your classes, engaging in your lessons, and actual physical good outcomes. Timescale for this current year 11. This is if COVID does not spoil and ruin all of the plans that the government have, that we have. This will be the normal process and the procedures for this year. And you can see there's one major event every single month all the way through to May, when the GCSE exam season is due to start. As you can see, in September, it was supporting a child parents evening. You get a progress report at the end of half term. The mock GCSE exams fortnight starts straight after the this current autumn half term, and that takes place over 9 working days. In December, you will receive your child's full subject report. Then we start to think about their post-16s. Then you've got to also progress report, parents' evening, another progress report before the actual GCSE exam season starts. So every single month, there is something there to actually keep your children focused, keep you informed about how they're progressing and what their targets and aspirations are for post-16. And one thing about going on into post-16, it is highly likely, and there is a requirement that people need their grade 4 at least in GCSE in English and in maths. Now, grade 4, grade 5, the old grade C. Just to give you an idea of how year 11 is the time that your child has the best chance to actually pass that English language or literature and mathematics GCSE is now. It's in school in year 11. Once again, a bit of data to show. In 2011 in England, just around about 200,000 out of the 550,000 students who sat English language GCSE and maths GCSE, about 200,000 didn't get the grade C or better. Half of these students, so about 100,000 in each subject, resat. And by 2 years later, only 6% of that 100,000 who had failed passed, and 7% passed the maths. So it's pretty clear that if you don't get your grade 4 in your English language or your maths straight away in year 11 in this year, then it really is, the things are stacked against you. So, as that wonderful little quotation says from Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So to move from now all the way through to May for the GCSEs, if you stick all of your revision and whatever in May or April and May, trying to make that 1,000-mile journey in a small number of time is very difficult. So your single step starts now, and you build on and build on and build on through October, November, December, January, all the way through to May. That journey of 1,000 miles, your GCSEs, starts now, bit by bit by bit. Anyway, I'll pass over now to Mr. Harding, who is going to explain something about mathematics and how you can support your children through mathematics GCSE. And I'll speak to you at the end after you've heard from Mr. Harding, Ms. Clark, and Mr. Tuck.
Hi there, my name's David Harding, and I'm the head of maths here at Untitled High School, and I'm just going to spend the next couple of minutes chatting you through a few things that you can be doing to support your child at home this academic year. So first of all, just a brief overview of what GCSE maths looks like. At the moment, as things stand, that is, we've got 3 90-minute papers that will be sat next May and June, the first of which is non-calculator, and then the second 2 being calculator papers, and we follow the AQA specification. So the main thing to be thinking about at the moment is preparation for the mock exams just after half term. All students have now been provided with a revision list that is accompanied by Hegarty Maths clips to kind of support with revision in that. So in terms of things that you can be doing to help, if you could encourage your child to maybe rank rate the topics on that list, red, amber, green, so that they can prioritize what they should be focusing on, and just checking up that that they're able to show you the work that they've been doing as part of their maths revision. So in particular, they should be able to show you some maths that has been written down, so that where they've kind of topic by topic gone through and practiced some actual questions, which would be great. So just that's a little slide just showing you what Hegarty Maths actually looks like. So when we ask students to use this to help them revise, they are provided with a little video and some example questions within that video, and then there's a little quiz for them to try themselves. Following the mocks, students will receive some quite detailed individual feedback. Again, that will highlight areas that need to be developed, as well as strengths. And we will be spending quite a substantial amount of lesson time acting on this feedback. But again, at home, it would be quite helpful if you could ask your child to show you the feedback that they received once the mocks are returned, and again, just encouraging them to work through and try and improve in some of those areas that they didn't do so well in. As well as that, thinking ahead into next year in particular, there's going to be a lot of past paper practice. That is the best way to improve in maths, by practicing past papers. And what would really help for us is if you were able to provide a space for your child to concentrate in exam style conditions, and just asking to see their efforts at past papers that they're assigned by their class teacher. If you're seeing lots of blank spaces, asking them to have a go and just to fill in some of those blanks. That again is really, really helpful. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake, but there's a lot to be gained from just having a go and trying to be a little bit more resilient. Accompanying past papers will be in contact in the new year to talk about the revision plan and the build up to the Year 11 GCSE exams. So there's various things such as fortnightly tests and extra revision sessions we'll be putting on. But as I say, we'll be in touch about that. But again, if you can just keep an eye on your emails, we will be in contact with that. And as soon as that process kind of really picks up, again, just being invested in that process and asking about what's going on in maths, and if there's a particular area that your child's been revising, ask them to explain it to you. You don't necessarily need to understand it yourself, but there's definitely a benefit in having your child attempt to explain a mathematical concept to you. Another thing that's just really helpful that you can do at home is just making sure that that the equipment and the environment are right for studying maths. So a lot of this seems, quite obvious, but again, it really does make a big difference. So in school, it would be great if you could just make sure that your students are having, pen, pencil, ruler, protractor, and a pair of compasses, because at that point we really do need to be able to practice all of those skills, and that equipment is required. We need a scientific calculator, and at home, if there's access to a device and a quiet place to study, of course, and I'm sure that will apply to all subjects, that would be really helpful too. We do provide these revision guides within school. So there's the revision guide that you can see here, but it's also accompanied by a workbook and an exam questions workbook. You can purchase those from school or online. And I know a lot of you have done that already, and they can then be collected in school once purchased through School Gateway. So if you require any more information, I would encourage you to contact your child's classroom teacher, but I'd be more than happy to take any queries or questions that you might have. So thank you very much for your time.
Hi everyone, so I'm just going to briefly go through with you how you can go about supporting your child in English at GCSE. So just to give you some kind of general information to start off, the example that we use is Edexcel, and every student will take a GCSE in both English language and English literature, so they're two entirely separate qualifications and they will get 2 separate grades for both those subjects. The qualification is untiered, so there's no higher and foundation, and they are 100% linear, so that is 100% exams in the summer. We have 4 externally examined papers, that's 2 for English language and 2 for English literature, and then there's a further endorsement of spoken language, which is based on a pass merit or distinction grade, which is entirely separate to the 2 GCSEs. We use the grade 1 to 9 system, with 9 being the highest. So I just thought I'd kind of briefly show you a quick overview of the language paper and then the literature paper, just to give you a bit of an idea of what the makeup of them is. So paper 1 is a slightly shorter language paper, and the first half of it is a reading section with a series of questions on an unseen 19th century fiction text. And then the second half of it is a piece of creative writing, which is worth 25% of the whole English language GCSE grade. Language paper 2 then is a slightly longer, slightly more complicated text to complete, because the extracts on the reading paper are 2 unseen non-fiction texts which the students have to compare. And then the second half of the paper, similar in structure to paper 1, is a transactional writing, so that's writing to argue or persuade. I've included on this slide as well for you to have a little look at in your own time, a bit more information about what each of the parts of the paper include, what the extracts will kind of look like, what the responses will look like, and what skills are being assessed for each. So please feel free to have a look back at that in your own time. The literature paper follows a similar kind of structure in that there are 2 papers, and within that kind of 2 separate elements to it. So on paper 1, the first half of the paper is on Romeo and Juliet, and that will be an extract question and a wider play question. And then the section B, the students, depending on who they are being taught by this year, will either be doing an In Spectacles or The Woman in Black. The second paper then is going to be looking at A Christmas Carol, that's the 19th century fiction text, and then the second half of it is going to be poetry from the anthology, so that's both the relationships poetry and unseen poetry. Again, a little bit of more information on all of those papers and the parts of the papers within there, just for your information. All of the exam is closed book, meaning that students can't take their copy of their books in with them, but quite a few elements of the paper are extract based. There will at least be something for students to use in an exam. So in terms of what you can do to help at home, the thing that would be perhaps the most useful of all, and I'm sure this will be the case that lots of you will have done this already, but actually getting your children a copy of the text that we study in school. It makes such a big difference if they can annotate it and highlight it in class, and obviously use this as part of their revision. I think parents always ask, how can a child revise for English? And one of the main things that I would say would be to reread and reread the text. And that doesn't necessarily just mean reading a paper copy of the book. It could be listening to an audiobook version. It could be reading a plot summary online, but knowing the text inside out is pretty much the single way to improve in English literature. So it would be really useful if they had their own copy. I've included the ISBNs on there for you to locate the copies that we use in class, but to be honest, any copy would do as long as they do have the same text as we're doing in lessons. Also, Edexcel produce their own really excellent revision guidebooks. There's a revision guide and revision workbook, and then there are target books, which is either a target grade 5 or a target grade 9. And it might be worth asking your child to contact their teacher and ask them what they're aiming for, be it 5 or 9. They're all available for purchase on the Edexcel website, and I've included the link there for you. But if you do just Google Edexcel target 5 or target 9 revision guide, then they will pop up easily for you to purchase, and they are really good, endorsed by the exam board, so everything there is absolutely kind of current and relevant. We also have our own kind of in-house homemade exam booklets, which is basically just made up of all the past papers. We'll be sharing the mock paper 2-1 version that they're doing after half term. We'll share that with you in the next couple of weeks so that you'll have those for over half term to revise. And like I'm saying, one of the things to do to revise for English would be to do it just like with maths or science. It's a subject that requires practicing the skills of doing it under time conditions. So the more that your children can be actually having a go at completing the questions in timed conditions, preferably, the better. And lastly, one of the things, I suppose, one of the positives, if there have been any, of lockdown and COVID is that we have got exceptionally good at using Google Classroom. So all of our lessons and resources are available on there. So if a child misses a lesson, or if you want to kind of go back through with them what they've done over this half term and make sure there are any gaps are addressed, or any resources that haven't been completed are completed, then please do have a look on their Google Classroom. They all have access to those in class code, so it should be really straightforward, but we will provide everything on there that we're doing in lessons for your revision. So I hope that has helped. Please do not hesitate to contact me at school if you have any questions. I'm sure I will do my very best to help you and answer them. But I do hope that has been helpful. Many thanks.
Hello, my name is Mr. Tuck. I'm Raising Achievement Leader for Science. So here's a quick look at some of the things available to support Year 11 students in their revision for science in the upcoming exams. A quick look, first of all, at what we've taught them so far in GCSE. So the red ticks indicate where we're up to in all of the courses. And you can see there's not actually that much left to do at this stage. The exams, in terms of what the exams will look like, obviously there are two routes through science. There are the GCSE combined science route or the separate science route. For both of these routes, for all students, there'll be 6 exams. There'll be 2 biology, 2 chemistry, and 2 physics exams. The main difference between the combined science and separate sciences is the length of the exams. So for combined science, it's 6 lots of 60 marks, and for separate science, it's 6 lots of 100 marks, obviously leading to 3 GCSEs for that and only 2 for the combined science double award. The length of the papers you can see on here, for combined science are 1 hour 10 minutes, and for separate science is 1 hour 45 minutes. And what students will be aware of is the different topics that are on the different papers. So there's different coverage on paper 1 and paper 2, for example. In normal years, we have a list of equations that students need to learn. It's been announced that for this year, these equations will be provided for students for physics. So that is one less thing for them to worry about. They will have to be able to use the equations, though. In terms of things that we've got available to help, okay, a lot of students already have these, but they are available. So we've got revision guides, which you can buy from school at a discounted price. So for separate sciences, there is a set of 3 for £8, and for combined sciences, 1 book, which costs £4.75. If you'd like to order those, you just go on the School Gateway, and they're available on there. We use Google Classroom to support students in every lesson. On there, they'll find all the materials from the lessons that they've had. If they've missed any lessons, they can catch up on things on there. But they'll also find revision materials, links to videos, past exam questions, other resources on there too. So that is something that it's certainly worth having a look at. We've also recently published a website, so Science at Pont High website, a really useful resource for all year groups, actually, for all courses. If students go onto there, they can find links to revision materials, lesson materials, specifications, exam materials, useful links to other websites. If they want to know how to get onto there, there should be a link to that on their Google Classroom, but also links in all of the classrooms around the science department. By accessing the website, can access our shared Google Drive, where they'll find, again, specifications, revision checklists for topics, exam style questions, specimen papers, revision presentations for all topics, and that equation list for physics too. And then the other things that we have in the science department to support students are the websites shown here. So Active Learn, which is a Pearson website, that contains useful sort of homework tasks, revision tasks, but also access to all of the textbooks that we use in school, revision lists, etc. Students can use Quizlet, where they'll find lots of keywords, sort of flashcards that they can revise from. We use Educate regularly for homeworks in the department, but also students can go on there to do their own revision. And then BBC Bite Size is an extremely useful resource. And if students go on to BBC Bite Size and select Edexcel Sciences and pick the appropriate topics, they'll find some very, very specific and useful revision materials for their chosen topic. If you like textbooks, if you would like hard copies of the textbooks, then they can be ordered from Pearson's using the link shown here. As I've said already, the students have access to these digitally through Active Learn, so don't necessarily have to purchase the books. In terms of tier of entry, we have to enter students for either foundation or higher tier, and that'll be finalised by class teachers probably by about February of 2022. And there may be, on occasion, based on mock exam results, a small number of students who may move from the separate sciences to combined science. But again, that's something that would be discussed with parents before any decision like that was taken. And finally, if you've got any questions, if you want to contact anyone, you can contact me, Mr. Tugg, Raising Achievement Leader for Science, but also Head of Chemistry, Mr. Clayson, who's Raising Achievement Deputy, who looks after Physics, Mr. Tulip, who's a Raising Achievement Coordinator, who looks after Biology, and Dr. Gare, who's a Raising Achievement Coordinator, who deals with the Combined Science course. Thank you.
Hello again, and you've now heard from Mr. Harding from Maths, English and Science, and hopefully that's given you some idea of the support that you could give to your children through their GCSEs. I'm just going to finish off with a couple of other messages before. First of all, the student perspective. These are some pieces of information that students from previous years have said has helped them in their revision, and how possibly their parents had helped them. I'll just let you read those at your own leisure, but obviously have a quick look at the last 2 bullet points there. As a parent, makes nice reading. And so, as the students have said, there are after-school revision sessions. They're fantastic. Do a bit each night. Remember, as I said before, step by step, piece by piece, build it up from September, October, all the way through to May. The Google Drive is fantastic. We've got loads of information on every single subject on the Google Drive from your individual teachers as well. People always ask about the stresses and strains, and so there are certain things that people can use and can do in order to keep things calm, get things into perspective, and basically we always try and encourage, as you parents will, of course, a good balance of work, a good balance of social life, a good balance of calm and relaxation, and good balance of activity. And there are a couple of things that people have said that has helped them in the past. I mentioned before about engagement. If the students are not in school and not engaged in the classes and engaged in the learning or the revision, then it is highly unlikely that they will succeed in getting their targets. Being in school and engaging with the class means that you don't fall behind. You're reviewing previous knowledge. You don't see things for the first time when they come up on the exam paper. And you go over loads of past papers, ask all your questions, seek help. That's the way to do it. Be prepared as well. At home, this is something that parents, and good luck with this, but something that parents could really help their child with, is that when your children are doing revision, try and keep their mobile phone away from them. Okay, make sure that they don't super glue it to their hands or whatever. Get the mobile phone in another room, because if a child does 2 hours on a night of revision with a mobile phone there, you know that those notifications are going to be buzzing away, that they will be looking at those, and 2 hours of revision ends up as 20 minutes of actually good work. So try your best. Good luck. But mobile phone in another room does work. This is not the nicest of messages, but exams can be difficult. Once again, it's not an amazing revelation. But at certain periods of time, students will just think, right, I've turned the paper over. Let's say we're doing the French Higher Listening of 2018, which is very close to my heart. One of my daughters did, I think it was the 2016 French GCSE Higher Listening paper, and it was an absolute beast. As you can see from the 2018, this is a mark out of 50. If you got 38 out of 50, that put you in the top 2% in the country, meaning you could get 12 things wrong, 12 things out of 50 that you had no idea about, and yet you were still in the top 2%. And if you look at the grade 7, which is the old grade A, 23 out of 50 was a grade A, a grade 7, 46%. That means the majority of the stuff you could miss out, the majority of stuff, 50-odd% of the stuff, and still be on your grade 7. That means it's blooming tough. And so if a child is turning over an exam paper, looks at a couple of questions and thinks, blooming heck, can't do that, what's the point, and gives up? Notice that you can miss out not miss out, but you cannot get wrong. You can get wrong 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 full questions of, say, 5 marks each, or whatever it may be, and you're still on the grade A. So don't give up. Don't think things are all lost because you've missed. You had no idea for one subject of, a 4-part question. It's tough. Okay, do not give up. Turn the paper over. Have a guess. Put your answers down. Have a guess. Turn the paper over and keep going. Keep going and keep going. Revision obviously is very useful and needed. And many parents and students ask about, well, what's the best revision website? Now, I'm not saying that Seneca is the best revision website. There are many, many more out there. But as one that we've looked at, this Seneca website is a good, free online resource. And the key features and what students will need to know are there. In that booklet, the Year 11 revision guide that will accompany this presentation and will also be found on the website and highlighted in the head teacher's message at the end of the week. In that booklet, you have hundreds of websites or possible revision websites for across the variety of GCSE subjects. Now, don't spend so much time looking at all of these. If you find a website or a revision website that works, that is good, brilliant, stick with that, move on. Don't keep surfing and whatever. But and I've probably given way too many possible websites for you to look at. So if you do find one, fantastic. If you're just stuck for something, where do I start? Just try out the Seneca website because it's quite a good website for a multitude of GCSE subjects. And you've got the website address there as well. Okay, and to finish off with some questions that people put down on the Google form. And these questions were, are there any revision classes? Yes, there are, after school across the whole suite of subjects, usually starting from January onwards, but some are starting from November after the mock exams as well. There may be even a couple of extra classes going on now. Ask your teachers. Revision guides. Do the students get revision guides? Well, there's one that we're going to post on the website with this. And Maths, English and Science have actually featured in their presentation certain revision guides that they use, book revision guides as well. When are the mock GCSEs and the actual GCSEs? That was given earlier in the presentation by me. And mental health, how can a parent help? Those coping strategies. If things do go wrong, please speak to a member of staff at school, or if you feel more comfortable, with your GP. People have asked what grades are needed for A-level courses. At the post-16 options evening, you will have all of those information, all those pieces of information for that. And what will the GCSE exams look like in 2022? Now, there's a question. At the moment, the government is saying they want normal exams. If COVID, if the pandemic continues on a really bad course, they are consulting on going back and reverting to teacher-assessed grades. But that is something that they really do not want to do. They want, as much as possible, a normal GCSE exam season. However, they have said that there will be, take into account the disrupted 2 years that your children will have had, this current year 11, which hopefully will not be too badly disrupted. Certainly when they're in year 10 was very disrupted, and in year 9 it was disrupted as well towards the end of the spring term and the full summer term. So there will be some choice of topics, some additional support in exams, for example, maths formulae. There will be certain things in English literature and history that students will be given a little bit of a guide towards what to revise, etc. Most subjects will receive things like that, and we've said that the latest by the 7th of February, Ofqual and the DFE are going to contact us to say what that extra support is going to be in the exams. Also, for your current Year 11 children, there is going to be a midway point in the proportion of grades given between the grades that happened when it was centre assessed grades and teacher assessed grades in 2020 and 21, and they were very high. In 2019, 18, 17, etc., when normal GCSEs were taking place, they said that for this current Year 11 group, there is going to be, the grades are going to be in the middle. So let's say there were, for example, 30% of students in the centre assessed grades and the teacher assessed grades across the country. 30% of students got a grade 7 in, say, maths. In normal times, it's 20%. And then, therefore, they're saying in this year, it will be 25% or somewhere around there. So that's the concession that the government and the exam boards and Ofqual are going to give to your Year 11 students, children. For the current Year 10s, they want to go back down to the proportion of results across all gradings from 2019, 18, 17, etc. Okay. If you've got any questions at all, please do not hesitate to get in touch with the school or with me. And good luck. I hope this has been very helpful, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much indeed.